Hello YouTube, Alan back with another CG video, only this time it's going to be shopping. So, i.e. what I bought in Las Vegas. And it's kind of stacked up beside me, so there's a decent bit to go through. I was still somewhat constrained, or restrained, not constrained. Or, well, I guess I was constrained by the fact that I didn't bring more money. But I was somewhat restrained. There was loads and loads of great stuff there. On the main show floor, you probably could see if you watched the show floor video, there's loads of booths, vendors selling anything you can imagine. Prototype games, new production games, lots of just retro games, accessories, and Vectrix overlays, rare, unusual items, the works. And just your usual, retro titles that you're looking for. So there's a hell of a lot to spend money on. So it's easy to kind of go there with quite deep pockets and go home empty, or go home a lot poorer. So I think I did fairly okay given that. So yeah, it's actually been 3 weeks already since I've been there, and I haven't even done this kind of package and pickups video from Las Vegas. So I better get on with it. First games I picked up were kind of free in a way. You got them with show admission. When you went in and you registered, as part of the registration process, you got a cartridge. So I got 2 cartridges, one for me, one for my wife, and you could pick. I picked up Moon Patrol, and she picked up Basic Programming. They're both Atari cartridges, and well, given that they were free, I was certainly not going to turn them down. And I have a 7800, so I can give them a whirl when I hook my 7800 up. And now, of course, we're both software engineers, hence the programming. The reason they were giving these cartridges away is because they were doing a competition for, what was the game? Was it not Waterworld? No, sorry. Air Quest, Sea Quest, Fire Quest. They were elemental quests, and the last one wasn't finished, or the third one wasn't finished. I can't quite remember. Did I have it? I'm going to have to refer to my notes, the booklet. Did I have anything about it here? No. Strange they don't. Anyway, something quest. It was one of those unfinished games that kind of has ended up in lore. And what they had someone make up basically a title screen, a mock-up title screen for the game, and they put it onto a cartridge. And it was kind of like a lucky dip. You pick your cartridge, you put it into one of the Ataris in the lounge area, and if the title screen comes up, instead of say Basic Programming or Moon Control, boom, you won, and they were giving out a prize. Obviously, these actually contained Moon Control and Basic Programming, so be it. But free nonetheless, or rather free with your admission, which, if you do early bird, that's like $20 or $25 per person, so it's very cheap for 2 days. Yeah, well worth it. So kind of 2 Atari pickups. What next? Okay, well, I'll just try and start peeling them down from my side because they're collapsing in on me. I picked up these two brand new Seal games for the Game Gear, and these were being sold. You can tell they're in absolutely mint condition, not a crease on them. So we have Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which I don't know about the Game Gear version. The Masters version is relatively uncommon, at least over in Europe, and would certainly fetch £15 on its own. And this one is a little uncommon in Master System 2, so you're talking maybe a £5. I don't know what these are worth on the Game Gear, but just getting Game Gear games that are in such good condition is nearly impossible. So, given that these were $1 a piece, I just, with no tax, no import duties, no nothing, just $1, had to pick them up. And they were actually selling shed loads of them. I think this was sold by Games World, Games World Las Vegas. They had a big booth and they were selling them. They had the carton containers, the original shipping boxes that you got with the 6. A lot of retro games were basically sold in. They came in big shipping boxes and in smaller cartons of 6 games in each, so it would be 6, 6, 6, 6, that type of thing. And they were selling. They had the big box with the little boxes, all original packaging from the factory. So they must have got loads of these somewhere. And they had other things like Sega CD games, a 32X game. They had a few 32X games I was somewhat tempted by, but they were more like $10 and things like that. So I was like, pretty too expensive. I like my $1 games, please. So yeah, just for the novelty, if nothing else, of having such great condition. And they're the only Game Gear games I've got boxed. I have a few loose ones, but the only boxed ones I have. But I was glad to pick those up. I was actually kicking myself afterwards. I said, you know what, I should have picked up a full 6 and got the original shipping container too, which is probably more valuable than the games. Hey, however. And they did have another golf game that I didn't pick up that was also $1. Again, for $1, that's only like 75 cents or something like that over here in euros. I probably should have picked it up too. You wouldn't get a can of Coke for that. What was I thinking? Do that every time I go to CGE. End up leaving stuff and going, what was I thinking? So while I'm on that topic, and before we get to the next long stay, what I left behind, there was a gorgeous, Famicom Game Boy Micro that looked just so great, perfect condition. They had a Nomad there. I think the Famicom was $100. I can't quite remember. There was a Nomad there, working properly, looked great, and it was $50. I was kicking myself for not picking that up. And it was something else. Oh, it's gone for the moment, but it'll probably come back. So moving forward, yeah. So we'll go to sort of a sealed item, and it's Star Fox on the N64, but it's a Japanese version. And I actually bought this largely for the artwork. Now this is not an original seal because they have a price sticker, but it's underneath it. I didn't pay $20 plus tax TX. They were asking for 10 for this, and was this again? Who was this? This was either Mad Gear or Pack Family Games. I'm not sure. And I came to agreement on 10, but they threw in this NES game as well. Or rather, I think I got this for 8, and then they wanted 3 for this, so I said we'll do the 2 for 10 type of thing. So they have. I can't read this right. Destination something. Earthstar. Okay, that's a great title. Destination Earthstar on the NES and the Japanese Star Fox 64. And like I said, this was large. I have the PAL version, so it wasn't a play or anything. It was just the novelty again of having a really nice box condition Nintendo game fluff. So yeah. You certainly don't be able to pick up box conditions for $8, which is again like €7 or something. It's not very much. You wouldn't even pick up a loose cart Star Fox for that over here. So I had to pick it up. So put the NES, and then I actually came back around to that guy and that seller because him and his brother were there. They seem to have a small section of the table, which I think the bigger table was Mad Gear. And it was kind of closing up time, so I ended up picking another game off him, and that was Mega Man 3. Now, I'm not a massive, I don't have a massive NES set, and I'm not a massive Mega Man fan, but I do, at least I don't, put it up on the pedestal like a lot of people do, but I do enjoy the games. They are good games, and they're the type of games that if you spend a little money on, but they're kind of worth it. They actually are worth the money. And they do tend to fetch reasonable resale. To be honest, this was probably about going rate, I think, for a loose cart. I should have haggled more because they actually had a sign up and they would only need to have feel free to haggle where, we'll basically haggle with you and you do discounts, and like they did in that one and some more that I got of them. And maybe it's because it was late in the day, he kind of threw out a price and I was like, sold. But really, when he said 10, I should have said, how about 8 or how about 7 or something. Ah well, it's a good game, so I can't complain. Set on the stack there. So, from the same stall, but from the brother, because they seem to have separate bits, I picked up 3 games. The first is a game that that's been on my Master System list for a while, well, forever, because I haven't got it. And it's one of those games that's not that rare. It's barely even uncommon, but because it has a title, because it's a genre, the price just goes stupid at times, and that is Phantasy Star. Now, I've said it before, but I'm not particularly pushed about versions, if it's the European one or if it's the American one or whatever. In fact, I prefer the American ones for some games because the box text and whatnot is all in English, and this is in fine condition. There's a little kind of wrinkling on the paper, but it's fine. And the manual and cart, more importantly, and even the advertising poster are in great condition, not a mark on them. So, and a good box as well, which makes a nice change. They were looking for 30 for that, but I kind of bundled them up. And then on the TurboGrafx, they had Bonk's Adventure, the first one, and again, I didn't realise they actually had a little plastic holder on some of these, which is quite a clever idea because they fall out so easy. So yeah, has the little crappy manual and card with its sleeve. So other than the cardboard box, I think these games come in cardboard boxes. It's kind of complete. It's close to it. They were looking for 15 for that, and there was just a loose kind of TurboGrafx card, which was $2, and it's TV, sports, football. So I think in the end he bundled all three together for 40, which I felt was pretty good because Phantasy Star, $40, 30 something, €32, €33, I don't know. Phantasy Star these days is easily selling for that on its own, at least the European one, and I don't know, maybe because it's an RPG, maybe because it's kind of one of the few known titles that stands out even to non-Master System collectors. It tends to fetch a lot of attention, and it's kind of bugged me that it's been so hard to get, because it's not a game that I'll probably sit down and play for very long, because you have to really get invested into it and give it a lot of time, and I tend not to have that. So I didn't really want to spend a hell of a lot, so I was glad to be able to kind of bundle it up with other games, especially given that I was kind of on the lookout for TurboGrafx games, given that I just recently got the UK TurboGrafx, and of course the system mascot Bonk, definitely want to try that one out. So very pleased to knock that off the set. But that wasn't the number one Master System game I got, which is coming up shortly. So then, may as well do the Master System one now, I guess. I went over there and I was looking for a few games in particular for my Master System set, and obviously there were the American games that I was missing. Now, ideally I would have loved to have seen Alf, but I didn't. And I even asked at this stall, did they have an Alf, and they did not, which is unfortunate. But I even thought maybe I'll see some of the American variants, things like the black cover, Bomber Raid, silver color, Galaxy Force, things like that. The few variants I was missing, I didn't really see them. I seen one copy of Bomber Raid, but it was missing its fan, not in great condition, for $15, and I was like, no, not happening. But on something like my second pass through on the first day, I completely missed it the first time. They had a copy of King's Quest, Quest for the Crown. And of course it's Parker Brothers, one of the few third-party games, few American-released third-party games. And it's in good condition, manual's there, and the cart's there as well. And this was $30. So yeah, I just snapped it up because $30 again, you would not get that in Europe for that price. It's an American exclusive, so I'm not going to bump into it locally, or if the chances of that happening are just so minute. And when it comes up on eBay these days, it does tend to at least go for that and more, and then you have to pay shipping and all that sort of, so I was like, okay, great, I can just pop this in my bag and head home with it, no taxes, no shipping, no nothing, definitely having that. Now, as a little side story, and I completely forgot to actually get it out for the camera, blah, silly me. I actually bought this off Chris Kohler, and he's, if I'm sure you probably know, but you know he writes for things like One Up and Game Life and whatnot. And he was on Retronauts podcast all the time with Jeremy Parish, and so I was chatting to him for a little bit, and I actually had my he's a book, Power Up, I think it's Powered Up. It's about the Japanese culture and how it influenced video games. It's quite a good book actually, because a lot of books are written maybe from the Atari perspective or you know things like that. So it's interesting to see well the early Japanese perspective and how that changed video game culture. So you know while I was over there, I was like able to get him to sign it. Actually, while I was buying this, I was like, well, can I have this? And would you mind signing my book? And he was, of course, oh yeah, it's signing away. And said, I think he said it like, good luck with the rest of the collection because he's actually got a complete American Master System set. So that's pretty good going, especially getting Buster Douglas. God damn it, that one's hard. Couldn't get him to sell Alf though. So yeah, well, that was a nice bonus. And one of the great things about CGE is you actually can talk to people who you know are alumni or maybe programmers or people in the industry, and generally everyone's fairly friendly about it. So yeah, if you want to chat to people about it, you know that might have met a game or worked in the industry, it's a good place to go. So that knocked between that and Phantasy Star, that's kind of two of the kind of RPG-esque or adventure element type of games off the list. There were two kind of big titles that I wanted to knock off because they're pricey, nearly for the sake of being pricey. This one at least has you know some merit in that it's an exclusive American title, so you've people from all over the world looking to get it. So, but Phantasy Star not so much. So yeah, so pleased to get this one, and that brings me down to 19 games for the American and US set. So not too bad at all. Pleased to knock those off. But I did actually end up returning to that boot and just picked up two things for $1, and that was Rad Racer on the. What am I looking? It's an NES cartridge on the NES, and Pink Panther Goes to Hollywood. That is the title. Yeah, Pink Goes to Hollywood on the Genesis. So technically, well, it's Tech Magic. It's technically the Genesis version. It's not in the best nick. But my copy, my European one, was without manual. So I just figured, oh well, if they're throwing this in with the cartridge, great, I'll take it and I can stick it into my copy and make it sort of complete. I can only read the English anyway, so that'll do me. Complete copy. As far as I'm concerned, it's going to sit in my collection, it's not going anywhere. So, let me see, what's left? Okay, we're getting down now. All this last stuff I think comes from the digital press boot. I'm not entirely sure if that's exactly what it was, but for sake of argument we'll say it is. They had a load of games that were, your man was said he was clearing off. Generally everything was a $5 or under, except for there was a few kind of prized items that were marked individually. So I was kind of like, yeah, I'll snap up a load of those. And the first couple of bits up were some Game Gear loose cartridges, and these were $2 a piece. And the first one is Sonic Triple Trouble. Of course, I had to buy this because I don't have the Game Gear game. But after making the Master System reproduction of it, it kind of felt only fair and only fitting that I buy the actual original. So if it would have been great to get a seal or a seal copy would be absolutely fantastic, but a box copy would be great. But a loose cart will do for now, and at $2 again, you can't complain with that. And on the same theme, $2 again, it's a Tales Adventure. Now this one I have a funny feeling is a little tricky to pick up, so when I seen it I was like, yeah, I'm gonna nab this even though it's loose. Normally I try and steer it somewhat away from loose cartridges except for the NES stuff, but I was like, yep, gotta have that. I've never played it before, so, and I'm a big Sonic fan, so definitely want to try that one out. When I was kind of saying about the NES, of course Game Gear, same problem where you have cardboard boxes and get bet up. So yeah, loose isn't so bad on Game Gear. So then that was the Game Gear games. Okay, we'll continue on the Sega front. Next up, they had a Genesis game for $3, and that was Pac-Man 2: The New Adventures. Reading it from the back that time, man, Pac-Man looks like such a twat. And I love at the back it. Three great ways to play, because you have the new adventure crap, and then you have the original Pac-Man and Super Pac-Man, I think it is, you can unlock. Yeah, they say it in the manual. Yeah, Super Pac-Man. I don't know. So you can play the original Pac-Man and this crazy adventure stuff. It's an interactive cartoon. And it's complete in absolutely great condition, and it has the registration card and everything, so yeah, not bad at all. I do have a Genesis, so even if this doesn't play handily on my European system, because I haven't got around to region modding it yet, but I will have to, I can always just pop it on the Genesis. We're at this, let's go beside me now. So, some more Sega stuff. Of course, I got the NTSC Sega Saturn recently, so I was on with the kind of region converter action replay doohickey. So I was like, gotta see if I can see some Sega Saturn stuff, and I did, and but it actually ended up in Japanese, and it's the original Virtua Fighter. So yeah, the manual's a little, cell tape together, but other than that, it's fine. The disc seemed fine. I was a little wary of buying disc. In fact, the disc is spotless. I don't know why I did that, because it probably just blind the camera. But I was a little wary of picking up disc games because I generally couldn't really try them. With cartridges, the chances of it not working are pretty low. Discs, not so much. That was decent, but they also had another Saturn title there, and that was Shining Force 3, and that was $2 as well. So I was, it's an RPG, so I probably won't be able to play it, but it comes complete with a spine card and everything, and I was like, $2? And gotta pick that up. It's gotta be worth more than $2. So yeah, I love the original Shining Force on the Mega Drive. I played the second one, and it was technically probably a better game, but for whatever reason I just couldn't get into it as much. And then I kind of fell out. I kind of just drifted away from the series. So this is probably not the game to get me back into the series, given that I won't be able to understand the damn thing, unless it happens to have an English language option in it, which I think is asking a lot. So yeah, but nonetheless, at $2 I wasn't going to leave it there. So 3 more things, but now flipping back over to Nintendo. They had a bunch of N64 games, some of which I already had, so I left. But there was a few others that I didn't have. So first one up was Pokemon Snap, and this was $2 as well. It's boxed. The box isn't perfect. I've tried to reform it somewhat, and it's had some success. But it's a box, and it's all complete. It has a manual, although the manual's missing the cover. So a boxed N64 game in decent condition for $2. Yeah, and it's a Pokemon too. So normally that although actually I've just seen this in the back. There's, this is a game pack, not a camera, you idiot. They don't actually say the you idiot bit, but they should. Because it's called Snap, for an N64 video game console, people would go, this must be a camera. No. And in America, you could print your photos as stickers as the Pokemon Snap stations. I don't think we got that over here. And my sister actually has the European version of this, so I must compare it. But yeah, it's actually a fairly fun game as well. Even if you're not into Pokemon, it's basically an on-rail shooter. So you don't actually have to be into the team to get enjoyment out of it. Although, to be fair, for an on-rail shooter, it's relatively passive. Moving on then, some Star Wars goodness. We have Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Feel the Force at 600 miles per hour. This is a decent game. I played it a bit back in the day actually. I think I got a lend of it from a friend. Red black box. And this one's complete as well. The manual and whatnot's actually fine really. It's a little wrinkled, but it's fine. Complete, cover. No pen marks or nothing that I noticed. Although they changed the trays on these American boxes, and I think some of the later European ones too, but generally I don't have any of them like this, where instead of being a tray that slides out, it seems to be integrated into the box, and it's an absolute pain to get stuff in and out. Like now. Go. Especially when you're trying to do it on camera. They don't make videos easy, these Nintendo boxes. Either they're getting destroyed and you end up with a crappy box, or no box at all, or you just can't get the content in and out to show. Terrible. So yeah. That was also $2. Again, Star Wars, I was thinking, wow, I can't believe they're only looking for $2. And on the Star Wars vibe, they've Star Wars Battle for Naboo. I absolutely love the other the Rogue Squadron series of games, and this was the kind of only one in that series that I don't have because it's where's the yeah Factor 5. So it's another one of the Factor 5 Rogue Squadron games. I have to pick it up again. If it's anything like Rogue Squadron, it's going to be a class game, and again, it's complete. This one's actually got registration cards and whatnot in there too. So yeah, who is the primary user of the game? Please type in your details. Which LucasArts games have you purchased? And so on. Oh yeah, which of the following were the most important factors for your purchase of this title? And one of the options is follow up to Rogue Squadron. And the next one underneath that is look at the graphics. Yeah, says it all. But if it's anything like Rogue Squadron, it will be great. Sadly though, I actually can't play those three because I don't have an NTSC N64 at the moment. I've been debating over getting an N64 from America because I could mod it to do RGB, but then I probably have to get a Passport 3 to play my PAL games, and I'm not too sure how they'd work. So I don't know whether it would just be better getting a PAS device and playing these on a PAL system, but then they'll run slow. Why didn't why didn't Nintendo screw over with the PAL model where you can't mod it easily to have switches for, region free and clock speed like you could the Mega Drive and things like that. They're just always awkward beatboxes or cutting out their video outputs. Damn it, they just don't make the life of the collector easy. So yeah, these three N64 games, box complete, $6. I thought that was an absolute bargain. $4 for the Sonic games, and $4 then for the two Saturn games. And for whatever reason, Pac-Man was a bit more, was $3. So that was actually the last thing I bought itself at CGE. I did technically get the Retro Gaming Roundup promo stuff free. They have the Neuromix Remix CD, and they have their little promo card. Go check it out. So $0. Technically, I guess that's the best value out of all the items. Although you'd be hard pushed to beat those N64s, really. But I did manage to make another trip in Las Vegas. There's a store called A Gamer's Paradise, I think it's called. I can't remember 100%. And it's actually out right next door to the the Pinball Hall of Fame. So when I was making the trip, I was kind of due to it once. I have to say I was a little disappointed. Their website seemed to have a lot of stuff on it, but when the store itself, it was a nice store, but they didn't really have anything that I was looking for. Maybe your mileage would vary if you went out there. I did appreciate that they had like arcade machines, main machine type things set up, free play, and you could just play while you're in the store. That was nice, a nice touch. But in the end, I actually only picked up a couple of NES loose carts. Golf, which is golf. I have this on the Ambassador program on the 3DS. Kind of enjoy it, despite the fact it's not great again. It's not that great a game, but it was $1. So yeah, picked it up. The way I figure, I can't pick these games up for that price at home, so why not? And then it's so bad type of thing. Top Gun, and this is actually one of those 5-screw games. I'm sure the NES collectors could tell me the difference. 5-screw versus 3-screw. I'm sure the 5-screw is probably an earlier design. In a way, I wish I picked up a 3-screw one because the 5-screw, all my 3-screw ones, all my NES cartridges are 3-screw except for this one, which is 5-screw. So it kind of stands out. The top being different and all. But yeah, this was also $1. Obviously, the Angry Video Game Nerd did stuff on it, so I kind of gotta pick it up, even though they had like 5 copies of this for $1. It must be so common in the US. Guess the movie was due, so that makes sense. So there we go. That was my only other pickups. I thought I would have picked up a bit more outside of CG, but as it turned out, I didn't. Just $2. Still, I think with all that other load of stuff that's hanging around me, I can't complain with coming home empty-handed. Would have picked up more if I could. I probably should have picked up more. I thought I might have maybe seen a Virtual Boy or something like that. They had a few, but not really the ones I was looking for, so they were not the droids I was looking for. So I left them. Anyway, I've rambled on well enough about my shopping on holiday, and you would think that would be it for a while, and it really should be, but Ninja Bear Hug put up a thread of sale stuff, so I'm sure next week there'll be another video with something on that. But that's for next week. We'll see you then.